Omagyanatmirandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranitanjena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So we're continuing with our fresh round of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And we've reached the preface. Last week we went through the Mangala Charanam, which was pretty ecstatic. I tend to be a little lazy about going through those verses, but it was so ecstatic going through them. Okay, so we're here at the introduction. And okay. Welcome, Suvasini Didi. Dandavat. And I think that may be Axel who's here too. Oh,
Dandavats to everyone.
Dandavat. So we're going through this introduction. For those who haven't been for the last few sessions, we're beginning our new round of Bhagavad Gita. We're just going through the introductory content now. And this introduction is a translation of the first Bengali edition. We went through a preface last week, which was by our Gurudev Srila Govinda Maharaj. And then this introduction is by Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And this verse is actually very nice to learn. This is an original Sanskrit verse by Srila Sridhar Maharaj. It's like a very nice prayer of invocation when going through Bhagavad Gita. Okay, all glory to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Introduction of the first Bengali edition. One day Shri Guru Gaurango Radha Govinda Sundaro Saguna Vyate Chata Gita Gurarta Gauravam. Bowing down to the holy feet of Shri Guru, Shri Gauranga and Shri Radha Govinda Sundar, all accompanied by their associates, I sing the glories of the hidden treasure of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Since Srimad Bhagavad Gita is very familiar to the learned society, an acquaintance of the conceptions of this edition may be given here. We are followers of the school of thought descending from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this edition is based on the Sri Gita commentaries of the preeminent exalted Sri Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas, Sri Vishwanath, Sri Baladev, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. By the grace of our worshipful spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, and from indications in the commentaries given by the aforementioned great pure devotees, in places some new light has been shed, revealing deeper meanings. The devoted reader will appreciate this particularly with regard to the 4 verses, 10.8 to 11, which were described by Sri Vishwanath Pad as the 4 essential verses, Chatu Shloki of the book. Generally, Sri Gita is known as an excellent study of the science of religion. The language of Sri Gita is simple and sweet. Its mood is grave, extensive, and radical. Its thought is succinct, lucid, and impartial, and its logic is sound and natural. The eloquence of the prologue, epilogue, exposition, review, analysis, synthesis, and delivery of Sri Gita is unprecedented and charming in the extreme. Sri Gita is activation for the lazy, courage for the fearful, hope for the hopeless, and new life for the dying. Sri Gita unifies and sustains all ranks, whether revolutionary, occultist, optimist, renunciationist, liberationist, or full-fledged deist. From the atheist of grossly crude vision to the most elevated saint, the essential conceptions of all classes of philosophers are illustrated with clear and powerful logic. The devotees of the Lord, Bhagavad Bhaktas, and persons on the paths of action, knowledge, and yoga, karmis, jnanis, and yogis, will each find the essence of their paths dealt with in a comprehensive and illuminating manner, and thus the book is highly esteemed by all. Oh God, this is just so beautiful. I want to read this again. Generally, Sri Gita is known as an excellent study of the science of religion. The language of Sri Gita is simple and sweet. Its mood is grave, extensive, and radical. Its thought is succinct, lucid, and impartial, and its logic is sound and natural. The eloquence of the prologue, epilogue, exposition, review, analysis, synthesis, and delivery of Sri Gita is unprecedented and charming in the extreme. And this is my favorite here. Sri Gita's activation for the lazy, courage for the fearful, hope for the hopeless, and new life for the dying. Sri Gita unifies and sustains all ranks, whether revolutionary, occultist, optimist, renunciationist, liberationist, or full-fledged theist. This is one of the things I appreciate very much about Gita. It's a wonderful point of connection that you can make with so many people, right? That we may meet with many persons who have very different or greatly different conceptions, but everyone appreciates Gita. And it has this unifying power in that way. It brings people together. So that is a very wonderful thing. Sri Gita unifies and sustains all ranks, whether revolutionary, occultist, optimist, renunciationist, liberationist, or full-fledged theist. From the atheist of grossly crude vision to the most elevated saint, the essential conceptions of all classes of philosophers are illustrated with clear and powerful logic. The devotees of the Lord, Bhagavad Bhaktas, and persons on the paths of action, knowledge, and yoga, karmis, jnanis, and yogis, will each find the essence of their paths dealt with in a comprehensive and illuminating manner. And thus the book is highly esteemed by all. There's truly something for everyone in Bhagavad Gita. Even as our Gurudev said, even an atheist, there's so much in Bhagavad Gita, even for someone who doesn't even necessarily believe, in the supreme absolute being. The essential and inner purport of the Vedas and Upanishads of the Aryans is directly explained, and the essence of various non-Aryan doctrines can also be found. Sri Gita teaches us enlightenment through the selfless execution of scripturally ordained actions. So this is like the first lesson in Bhagavad Gita. This is Nishkam Karma Yoga, right? Enlightenment through the selfless execution of scripturally ordained actions. When the consciousness is thus purified, self-realization or spiritual realization is attained. In its maturity, this pure realization blossoms into loving service in the joyful divine plane. So this is a very wonderful summary of the progressive development that is being presented in Gita. Right, karma yoga, this enlightenment or the selfless execution of scripture ordained actions. This is karma yoga in a nutshell. Then this is jnana yoga in a nutshell. When the consciousness is thus purified, self-realization or spiritual realization is attained, and then that will ultimately lead to bhakti yoga, described in this last sentence. In its maturity, this pure realization blossoms into loving service. So this is the natural progression that is described in Gita, according to our standard. The standpoint of the Bhagavad Bhaktas. From the standpoint of Sambandha Gyan, or knowledge of relationship, Sri Gita gives us the conception that the absolute reality is a transcendental personality. From the standpoint of prayojan, or the objective, spiritual love for the absolute reality is given as the highest attainment. And from the standpoint of abhideya, or the means, we are taught that one must initially offer all his actions to the Supreme Lord, followed by the cultivation of self-realization favorable to realization of the Lord, and finally surrender to the Lord, to the exclusion of all other endeavors. Ultimately, the means will culminate in the objective when, in one's perfected spiritual form, one wholeheartedly engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. I want to read this one more time. It's just so rich, right? Srila Sridhar Maharaj is, and the thing is, one thing that's so impressive about Srila Sridhar Maharaj, like this is something he's written, right? But his speaking is also like that, like, unprepared, like spontaneous talks. We hear in the recordings, right? Person's asking questions, he's giving his answers in the moment. There's no preparation, but his natural talks are also like that. It's incredible, like so concise, so his articulate, like his choice of words, his articulation, so potent, so concise. It's incredible. And that's his Bengali and his English, right? This has also been translated from Bengali, which is his mother tongue, but his English talks are also like that. It's phenomenal. From the standpoint of Sambandha Gyan, or knowledge of relationship. So these, I think most of our group are familiar with these three terms: Sambandha Gyan, and then Prayojan, and then Abhideya. These are three very helpful terms which summarize, they're like three headings which summarize everything that we are about. Sambandha Gyan, knowledge of what is what, who is who, how everything is, what is the relationship of everything with everything else. So from this standpoint, Sri Gita gives us the conception that the absolute reality is a person, right? Not just a light, or not just an impersonal sustainer of existence, but he's a person with whom we can have a relationship. Then from the standpoint of prayojan, or the objective, what is our highest goal? Then prema, divine love, spiritual love, that is given as the highest attainment. Spiritual love for that supreme personality. And then from the standpoint of abhideya, or the means, right? What is the practice? What is the path? What is the means to the end? We are taught that one must initially offer all their actions to the Supreme Lord. So practices of devotion, or bhakti, followed by the cultivation of self-realization, favorable to realization of the Lord, and finally surrender to the Lord to the exclusion of all other endeavors. And this will, of course, be a gradual process, right? There's in Prapana Jivanamrita, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, in the section on self-surrender, his introductory verse to that section, he's describing these different stages of surrender, right? First, we may surrender our paraphernalia, right? Or we may surrender various activities to the Lord. But ultimately, we will surrender our very self. And that is what is key, right? That we are offering our heart, we are offering our inner consciousness, our ego. Well, Prapana Jivanamrita has just appeared in front of me. So maybe we can read that. Don't remember where here it is. Here it is. Rodehadi Shudatma Payantasya Samarpan. To summarily offer everything from body and its paraphernalia up to pure soul. So in the beginning, it may be like an unconscious, right? We're just going through the procedures. And of course, there's some benefit, there's some grace we're inviting there, but that's not what's actually desired. That's what's called practicing, right? We're going through the motions, and we're, but our pure consciousness, our full heart has not caught up with that movement, right? So we may start with offering the body, then the paraphernalia of the body, but then pure soul, that is the highest offering, and that is what the Lord wants. He wants our heart.
What is the, I'm so sorry to interrupt. May I ask what the
Yeah, sure.
paraphernalia of the body may be?
I mean, I would say everything that we use in our daily lives, property, various possessions, money, food, flowers,
Oh, okay. Thank you.
things. Yeah, all these things, I would say. So, it's like someone may make some grand offering, right? But they haven't really offered their hearts. They have not really offered their soul in that. Or they may make a grand offering and then they have that ego connect. They have this sense of ownership, right? Oh, I have done this, right? This is my property, my energy, which I am offering to the Lord. So ultimately, it's like, I was remembering the other day, this one incident, very, very beautiful. And there are a few interesting instructions that come out of it. It was when Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the founder of the Gaudiya Math, he wanted to open a temple in Kolkata. They had a rented place for some years, but he wanted a permanent preaching center, and place for their deities worship and so on. And he located a property and then he instructed a group of his disciples to go out into the city and to collect the funds that were required. And then one of his disciples, Jagabandhu Bhakti Ranjan was his name, he was very wealthy and he heard about this need and he came forward and he gave all the money at once. And so the disciples were very happy. They came, reported this to Saraswati Thakur. But to their surprise, Saraswati Thakur was not that happy. And he said, that's not what I wanted. It's not just about the money, but I wanted you to go and give everyone in the city of Kolkata the opportunity, to contribute 1 rupee. If you came and told me I've collected 1 rupee from 100,000 people, then I would be very happy. But 1 person giving it all, that's not the idea. But that's not the point I'm making, but that's an interesting side point. But then later on, this Jagabandhu Bhakti Ranjan, this wealthy Vaishnava, he was a great devotee. And Saraswati Thakur, he expressed great appreciation for his mood of devotion. And I believe he may have even written something in his glorification that was published in the magazine. He's actually in our calendar, his day of departure, this Jagabandhu. But this is the point, right? That I'm coming to, that Saraswati Thakur expressed this great praise of him. And this Jagabandhu, he was very shy. And he made this response saying that I have simply given you what is already yours. Right? Like everything belongs to you, Gurudev, and I've simply given you what is yours. Nothing is my property. This is the feeling of the enlightened souls, that everything that they possess, they're just holding it it's the Lord's property, and it's just in my care. And when appropriate, I will use it in the service of the Lord. It is his money, his property, his resource, and I'll use it in his service. There's no question of me, sacrificing my own energy and money and so on. But it belongs to him, and I'm giving him what is his. That is the feeling of the enlightened souls. So in the beginning, that's like level 1, right? I've given something, right? That's good. That's kindergarten level. But then next stage is, I have nothing to give anyway. It's all yours, right? Okay, we'll carry on. Sri Gita has clearly shown the distinctions between the various paths, such as the path of action, including worship of the gods for worldly fulfillment, and the path of knowledge for the attainment of liberation. The thoughtful reader can note that Sri Gita, by its comparative study, refutes the misconception that the many paths and goals are all one. Rather, it is stated Yo yak shraddha sa eva sa. A man is known by his faith. These verses would warrant deep consideration in this respect. The yogi, this is from the end of chapter 6. The yogi is superior to persons engaged in austerity, superior to the person of knowledge, and superior to the person of action. Therefore, O Arjuna, be a yogi. And best of all yogis is my faithful devotee, for whom I am the only goal, and who serves me wholeheartedly. This is my opinion. Showing the inferiority and meaninglessness of dry renunciation, the gift of Sri Gita is most substantial and positive. Rather than, oh dear, we have a typo here. We were just talking about the ghost in the printing machine. Rather than merely renouncing action, one should selflessly offer one's actions to the Supreme Lord, Karma Yoga. Ultimately, based on one's surrender, one will be inspired to act in devotion, bhakti, for the Lord alone. This is the conclusive and sublime teaching of Sri Gita. In the finest conception, the overall excellence of Sri Gita is found in its gift of devotion. In its full manifestation, such devotion is prema bhakti, loving devotion to the all-attractive Supreme Personality, Sri Krishna, reality, the beautiful. Secret, more secret, and the most secret of all teachings have been given, as the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord, Sankirtan, and service in spontaneity, bhava seva, with exclusive surrender and dedication to the transcendental pleasure of Krishna as the ultimate goal of life, as sung by the vibrant clarion call of Sri Gita. Sarvadharmam prityaja mam ekam sharanam raja. And as deeply contemplated by the followers of the lotus footsteps of the Supreme Lord, who mercifully appears as the Savior in this age of Kali, Sri Chaitanya Chandra, and as corroborated by the divine succession of saintly teachers. May Lord Shri Krishna accept the offering of this edition. Swami V.R. Sridhar, Shri Chaitanya Saraswami, Navadvip Janmashtami, Bengali year 1368. And this was, I believe, was this, 1950 something, according to our calculation. Wow, so beautiful. Does anyone have any comments or questions in our group? And welcome to those who came in while we were reading. I see Chintamani's here, and there were a few others who came in. Dandavat. And we have a Danny here. Welcome.
Right here we see Chaitanya's particular pattern in Chandra. I see that you see that quite a lot.
Chandra's moon.
Moon. Okay.
Yeah, it's a way of describing the beauty of the Lord. Yeah, you'll see it often. I never totally understood it until this one evening. I was coming back through some series of events late at night from Mayapur to Navadvip, our temple in Bengal, and somehow I don't know about astronomy and all these things, but somehow that night the moon looked so close and was so big and golden and beautiful. And then I thought, oh, now I understand why we always hear these descriptions of the Lord comparing him to the moon. Because normally the moon looks very far away, very small. But in some particular environmental, astronomical situation, we get some glimpse of that. Okay. So then maybe we can start then with our reading if no one else wants to bring up anything. So Vasani Didi, any comments?
No, Didi, that's beautiful to hear this. You know, Guru Maharaj's preface is very nice. Yeah, beautiful. Just hearing. Yeah.
Very profound and very concise at the same time. It seems to me like one of Srila Sridhar Maharaj's trademarks. He'll express so much depth in very few words. And very poetic at the same time. Okay, then we can continue. So we'll hear from our Guru Dev as we have been doing. We can continue with how we've been doing things. So we'll listen to the first 10 verses of this first chapter. So now we have to put on our Bhagavad Gita cap. We're in the middle of the battlefield. About to hear this extraordinary conversation between Sri Krishna and his beloved devotee, Arjuna. Oh, maybe I forgot to share sound. That just occurred to me. Let me see if they can. Can you hear that?
Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Padmamukhtaya, Rajna Darshan, Dhritarashtra Uvacha, Dharma Kshetri, Kuru Kshetri, Samaveta, Jujuttava, Mamaka, Pandava, Shaiva, Kima, Kudbata Sanjaya, Sanjaya Vacha, Drishtatu Pandavanikam, Durhang, Durchadhanastada, Acharyamupasangamya, Raja Vachanam Prabhit, Pashaitang Panduputranam, Acharya Mahatim Chamum, Gurhang Dupadaputrena, Tavashisyena Dhimata, Atra Sura Maheshwara, Bhimarjuna Samayudhi, Jujudhana Viratascha, Drupadascha Maharasa, Drishtaketuscha Kitana, Kashirajascha Virjaman, Urujit Kunti Hojascha, Daivascha Narapungava, Judhamanuscha Vikranta, Uttamojascha Virjaman, Saubhatru Draupadi-ashka, Sarva eva Maharatha, Asmakantu Visishtaji, Tan Nivudha Nayaka Mama Sainyasya, Sangarthang Tan Bravimite, Bhavan Bhishyascha, Karnascha, Kripascha, Samitinjaya, Arshathama Vikarnascha, Somadaktir Jayatratha, Vannecha Bhava Shura, Madarsi Takta Jivita, Nana Shastra Prarana, Sarve Junta Visarada, Aparjaptam, Tadasmakam, Balang Bhisma Bhirakitam, Varjaptam Tidamiti Sa, Balang Bhima Bhirakitam.
Okay. So I think everyone in our group is familiar to a sufficient degree with the background of Bhagavad Gita. And we also went through that helpful family tree, which Marie shared with us. Just as a very brief refresher, right? We have these two sets of cousins. And so the Pandavas, who are the heroes, and then the Kauravas, who are somewhat wicked, and they're opposing the Pandavas' right to the throne. And so this has led to, and sometimes persons, not just sometimes, but I think it is it is something of an issue, right? In our modern culture, persons oppose war. And so this is something that can be understood, right? And it's not that Bhagavad Gita or Mahabharata is promoting war and violence and all these things, but the idea is that this is a battle the, of justice. And it is for, it is not that we will avoid a battle if it is necessary, right? For the welfare of all, right? For the triumph of good over evil, right? Then we should not shy away from that duty. So that is something to bear in mind. But ultimately, Bhagavad Gita is not about a battle. Bhagavad Gita is a philosophical, spiritual text, and this background of the battle, it's really just providing a platform. It's giving an excuse for this whole discussion to take place. And in the deepest sense, the real battle is within, right? There is no battle without. And what's really being discussed here is the battle within our own self, right? And how we can overcome that and achieve the state of yoga. So that is something to bear in mind. This first chapter is not philosophical, it's just setting the scene, right? And it's the only chapter that is like that. And so here we have Dhritarashtra, right? He's the father of the Kauravas, who are on the wicked side. Dhritarashtra, he's a bit of a conflicted character, right? We see in Mahabharata that he has a higher side, but he has a weakness, and he tends to be influenced by the lower side, right? And he's also weakened by his attachment to his son, who is quite wicked, Duryodhana. So this Dhritarashtra, he moves a bit back and forth, but overall he's a weak character. But he's sitting and he's blind, right? And this is part of the whole issue with the beginning of this battle, right? Dhritarashtra, he was the eldest son, but because he was blind, he was considered unfit to hold the position of king. So the position went to his younger brother, Pandu. But then Pandu died, and so the right should have gone to Pandu's sons. So everything's a little nebulous, right? So Dhritarashtra, he's sitting at home in his comfortable palace, and he has this chariot driver, Sanjaya, who's been blessed with this special power to be able to see. He has some special siddhi, to be able to see things, and right. So he's able to. So Dhritarashtra is asking the Sanjaya, please tell me, what's going on the battlefield, as all the troops are assembling. And I recall, actually, I wanted to bring it up for today's meeting, but I never do. Maybe I'll actually do it next week. But we have these very nice commentaries, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj mentioned them in the introduction we just went through. Two of the principal Vaishnava commentaries that we've referred to are Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Baladev Vijayabhusham. And I recall in one of their commentaries, there's this humorous expression saying that Dhritarashtra is a little concerned because Kurukshetra is actually a holy place. This place where the battle takes place. And in fact, this is a place where there was this epic meeting between Krishna and the residents of Vrindavan, right? When there was this imminent eclipse coming, because there's this tradition in the Vedic culture. The eclipse is considered inauspicious, and persons will traditionally gather at a holy place. And so Kurukshetra is actually a holy place, right? And so this commentary was mentioning that, Dhritarashtra is concerned that the influence of this holy place may have softened everyone's hearts, and the cousins may have come to some resolution, and they decided not to fight, and that his own sons would lose out. Because he specifically mentions here Dharma Kshetra. Kshetra means place. So Dharma, this place of Dharma. It's a holy place, a place of Dharma. So he's concerned that the influence of this holy place would thwart his plans, right? And there were some other interesting comments too, which I can't recall, but maybe I can try and remember to bring them for next week. There was another interesting comment too, something about how like the Kauravas, they can be compared to these like weeds, like growing in this holy place, that need to be removed. Some interesting comments like that. So let's go through and chant these first 10 verses together, and then go through the English. So let's chant together. Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsavaha Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kimakorvata Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra said, "O Sanjaya, what happened when my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled for battle at the holy place of Kurukshetra?" Sanjaya Uvacha Drishtva tu Pandavanikam Yudam Duryodhanastada Acharyamupasangamya Rajavachanamabhavit. Sanjaya said, seeing the Pandava's soldiers and armies arrayed for battle, King Duryodhana approached Dronacharya and said, and so this Dronacharya, he's like the weapons guru, right? The Astra guru. And he's trains the Pandavas and the Kauravas. And in his heart, right, he's actually supporting the Pandavas. He's a righteous man of great wisdom. But he's eating bread at the table of Dhritarashtra, right? Dhritarashtra is paying his bills. So he's obligated, to support, the side of Duryodhana. But in his heart, he's with the Pandavas. And it's the same with Bhishma. Pashyaitam bandhuputranam acharya mahatim chamum yudam juparaputrena tava shishena dhimata. O my teacher, please observe the great armies of the Pandavas, arranged in military formation by your brilliant disciple, Drishtadyumna. Now there's some, I'm trying to remember the details. Who's our Mahabharata expert in the group? Maybe Chintamani or Suvasni Didi. Maybe you can remember this. This is actually an ironic statement, because this Drishtadyumna, he was trained by Dronacharya, but then he ended up fighting on the side of the Pandavas. So Duryodhana's kind of speaking ironically, like, oh, like, good job. Like you trained him up, and now he's gonna make trouble for us. Oh, that's right. He's actually the brother of Draupadi. That's right. Yeah, this is in the word for word. Yeah, Drupada, right? Draupadi and this Drishtadyumna, they were both born from the sacrificial fire. That's right. Right, and so because Draupadi is married to the Pandavas, then he's naturally fighting on that side. But he was trained by Dronacharya. So he's speaking kind of sarcastically here. Atra Shura Maheshwasa Bhimarjuna Samayudi Yuyudano Viratascha Jupadascha Maharataha Drishtaketush Chekitana Kashirajascha Viryavan Gurujit Kunti Bojascha Saibyascha Narapungavaha Yudamanyuscha Vikranta Uttamojascha Viryavan Sobhadro Dropadeyascha Sarva Eva Maharataha. Among these soldiers are the expert archers, Bhima, Arjuna, and others equally skilled in battle. So he's surveying the opposing side. Like Satyaki, King Virata, the great fighter Drupada, Drishtaketu, Chekitan, the mighty hero Kashiraj, Purujit, Kunti Boja, the noble King Shaibya, the valiant Yudamanyu, the heroic Uttamoja, Abhimanyu, and the sons of Draupadi. They are all great warriors indeed. Asmakam tu vishishtaye Tanniboda Dvijotama Nayaka Mama Sanyasya Samgyartam Dambravimite. O best of the twice-born, please consider too the foremost amongst us, the commanders of my armies. I submit their names before you. So this is Duryodhana speaking. Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha Vipascha Samitinjayaha Ashwatthama Vikarnascha Somadatir Jayajataha Anyecha Bahava Shura Madarte Jakta Jivitaha Nana Shastra Praharana Sarve Yuddha Vishadadaha. Firstly, there is your respected self, then Bhishma, Karna, the ever-victorious Kripacharya, Ashwatthama, Vikarna, Bodhisattva, Jayadratha, and many other heroes skilled in the art of warfare, all armed with various weapons and prepared to lay down their very lives for me. So Drona, who Duryodhana is addressing, and Bhishma, they're like the two seniors, you know, in this group on the side, you know, supporting Duryodhana. Paryaptam tarasmakam balam Bhishma birakshitam Paryaptam tridamitesham balam bhima birakshitam. The strength of our army, headed by Bhishma, seems inestimable. Yet the strength of the Pandavas' army, protected by Bhima, is estimable. Probably for time. Now this verse is a very interesting verse. This verse 11. Ayaneshu cha sarveshu yata bhagamavashtitaha bhishmameva bhidakshantu bhavanta sarva evahi. Now take up your post at the strategic points of the formation and support of Bhishma. So Bhishma is appointed like as the general, right? And our Gurudev, he once gave a very wonderful talk inspired by this phrase. And I believe Krishna Kantadidi, you were there and you actually transcribed that talk. You remember that talk. A very extraordinary talk by our Gurudev. He drew out just this one phrase, he gave a whole lecture on. Because Duryodhana is saying, Bhishmam evabi rakshantu. He's saying everybody support Bhishma. Right? He's commanding, you know, the army. And but as we mentioned, right, Bhishma, he's actually at heart with the Pandavas. And it's simply out of obligation that he's supporting Duryodhana. And Duryodhana knows that very well. And Duryodhana's not happy about that. But he's working with the situation. And so our Gurudev, he made this very wonderful point that, you know, in our communities, in our temples around the world, you know, everyone doesn't always see eye to eye, right? And everyone's coming from a different cultural background, you know, different social backgrounds and so on. So everyone has, you know, many different points of view. But when it comes to the service, you know, we should come together. We should be one for the service of our Guru, for Mahaprabhu's mission. And particularly if someone has taken that responsibility, you know, is you know, the head of that community, we should try our best to harmonize with them, to cooperate with them. So very, very very wonderful insight our Gurudev drew out from this one phrase. I see Scarlett has her hand raised.
Yes, I might be maybe misunderstood or something, because as I remember, I have read Mahabharata. As I remember, Dronacharya.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he was the trainer for all of the Pandava and Karna and the others, right?
That's right. Yes.
He teach
right.
all of them the art of fighting.
That's right.
And as I remember, it was very much troublesome between Ashwatthama already within at that time when the Pandavas boy was training with his father. he didn't like it because he always want to be the best and so on. So their enemy feeling already had started there, right?
Yeah.
And the other
Yeah.
what I understood of Duryodhana's behavior that says give the support to Bhishma, it's I think because he has two feeling. It seems that he has two feeling. One, it's because he has very good in his heart. He loves the Pandavas. The second one, it's that he thinks because he's old, it's better we give him all the. You know what I mean? He doesn't give the 100% trust. He doesn't have 100% trust to Bhishma because Bhishma loves Pandava's boy, right?
Yes.
Have I understood it right? Or
Yes, no, you're correct. It's a very complicated situation. Yes, you're correct. Duryodhana doesn't have complete trust in Bhishma, but he also trusts that Bhishma is an honorable person, and that even though at heart he's with the Pandavas, if he's committed to doing something, then he will do it. And so he's made a commitment that he will support Duryodhana in the battle. And so Duryodhana trusts that he'll, he's not 100% comfortable, but he also trusts Bhishma's highly dharmic, right? Who is Bhishma? He of the terrible vow, right? He vowed to never get married, never have children in order to pacify his stepmother. And he stuck to that his whole life, even when he was requested to break his vow out of necessity, right? So this is Bhishma. He said, this is a different world, like in this like modern culture, there's so much cheapness actually around our words, but in this ancient Vedic and no doubt in other ancient traditional cultures, there's so much importance given to these types of promises. Once someone says it, that is the Dharma. Once you say you will do something, that is it. If you have to die to carry it out, you'll die. But one word is given, one simple promise is given so much importance. So it is a
you mentioned something. May I ask a question? You mentioned something in the beginning. You say there's it somehow it symbolizes our feeling, our inner feeling, the old thing, the Pandavas and everything, the war. It's somehow
battlefield, right?
Yes, the battlefield is connected with what we are feeling or our inner feeling, something like that. I heard. I might be wrong, but I heard something like that.
Yes. Well, I was saying that nice comment from Marie, and thank you, Danny. Welcome. Thank you for your comment. And Marie's has a nice comment. I once heard a Hebrew saying along the lines that once a word is spoken, it is alive and its speaker can no longer direct it. So yes, Scarlett, going back to your question, yes, there's also this understanding that in a sense the battle in Gita is representing the battle within, and Bhagavad Gita is giving us teachings by which we can subdue that inner battle, right? And not be at war with ourselves, but come into harmony with ourselves and in realizing our true spiritual nature, right? That's really what Bhagavad Gita is about. The battle of Bhagavad Gita is setting the stage, right?
Thank you.
So the battle is within. That's one thing that makes this all much more difficult. And this was brought up in our Tuesday meeting, right? That it's not only that the challenges are coming from outside or the enemies are from outside, but the real enemy is within. That's what makes the whole process much harder, right? And sometimes we may experience, right, that we may eliminate different things in the environment that are tripping us up, right? It's like, oh, this person is bad association, or this situation is obstructing my spiritual progress. And then we may get to a point where it's like, we've cleared the way. And they're like, oh, hang on. I'm actually the problem. I don't have anyone else to blame anymore. Actually, it's just me, right? When we're facing a very bewildering environment, then it's easy, like, just to put the blame on others and make many excuses about, why we're not moving forward. But then we may come to a point of stark, humiliating clarity in self-examination, realize there's no one we can blame other than our own selves. Wherever I go, there is me. Nice, Kangalila. That's right. We always carry our baggage with us, right? We always carry our baggage with us. So this is what's so challenging, right? We have challenges without, but the main challenge is within. So then this is one of the main teachings of Bhagavad Gita. Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he made this statement about Bhagavad Gita. Actually, he was referring to, perhaps it was Hegel. I think he just said there was a German scholar who said he thought Bhagavad Gita was the scripture that gave the most profound advice, because it gave this advice that don't try to change your environment, try to change yourself. Right? Look within. Right? This is one of like the background themes of Bhagavad Gita. Right? Bhoktadam yagyatapasam sarvalokam suhridam sarvabhutanam. This is the last verse of chapter 5. But Krishna is basically saying, like, the environment's okay. Like, there's a reason why it's happening like this. You adjust yourself, and then shantim richati, you will taste shanti, you will taste peace if you can make the adjustment yourself. And sometimes we also experience, right, there's some situation, we battle it out, and then we remove it, and then we're like, hang on, actually, that was a perfect circumstance. I mean, right? Sometimes we may experience that, trying to make some change in our environment. Then we realize it was actually perfect. Why did I do that? And then we come to that realization, oh, it's me, actually. I just need to adjust my own self. That is what it comes down to. Well, it's been another wonderful Bhagavad Gita session with all of you beautiful souls. Does anyone want to share any closing thoughts before we end for today? It's so wonderful. It's just so fresh, isn't it? It doesn't get old. It doesn't get old. Is that
hour flew by so quickly? It's unbelievable. Like, I feel there is times when I'm here in this group with you, Vishakadidi, and that my head is working overtime, and I feel like I'm being very intellectual about it. And then there's times where it makes sense here more. And then time is actually more faster. Today, something like I felt that we'll move right into the heart. So thank you so much.
There are moments, when we realize we have this very limited conception, right? We like to frame things with, time markers, but there's actually an eternal presence, right? And there's a flow of the eternal presence, a stream of the eternal presence. And sometimes we get some glimpses of that in our spiritual practice and in association with the Vaishnavas. And yes, when we go through these scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, we feel, oh, at least I've done something meaningful today. Done something connecting with the eternal stream of truth. Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Deva Goswami Maharaj ki Jai Shri Bhakti.
Jai.
Swami Maharaj ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Jai. All the assembled devotees and sincere seekers ki Jai. Vanchat dubious cha kripa sindhuvyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo. Haribol.
Haribol, thank you very much.
Haribo.
See you all next time.
Jai.
Jai.